Okay, this is the famous game that I was referring to earlier, Rybka versus Nakamura from 2008. So this is a very famous game, of course. I assume it's this checkmate. No, okay, so I had more flashy style. I put the other bishop, whatever, it's all the same. But this is an example, you guys. So here we go. So yesterday or 2 days ago when I played Anabot, you guys, people said, well, you know, when the position becomes blockaded, like in this game, you know, it's going to be, the computer will never pawn push c4 or e4. However, as I learned back then, there were bugs in the program. So here you see I have a rook, knight, bishop, white has 2 rooks. And the way that you win this game is essentially I sacked 2 rooks. So now the computer saw I have 2 rooks against a knight and a bishop, and I must be winning by math. So therefore, white at some point after 49 moves is going to push the pawn to c4, and black's going to win the game, which is why when all of y'all were like doubting me or like Anabot, it's not going to push a pawn, even 13 years later, I still remember how to trick computers. So we keep going. I'll show you guys what happens. Just watch. So we trade queens. So now the computer's like, okay, well now I have 2 rooks. So at some point it's going to push the pawn. Just watch. And you see we just keep going. La di da di da la 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 la. Just keep going, and here we go. As I said, at move 49, the computer, of course, plays pawn to c4 because it sees that it's a head material. It has 2 rooks, each worth 5, and I have a knight and bishop, which is worth 3 and 3, so 10 is greater than 6. And now, of course, it loses this endgame because what happens is I put all the pressure on the pawns, and it can't hang on. So, see, I win this one, and now we do the pawn race. All the pawns go down the board, and it's see you mañana, my friend. And I just win this endgame. So okay, let's keep going. Here's a game, Kieto Lee versus Hikaru Nakamura from 2009. Now this I remember also. This was a very fun event that I played in Gjøvik, Norway. It was held, I believe, in January. I remember this quite well because it was a very rough period in my life. I was coming off kind of an unfortunate breakup at the time, and I just remember that it was like very cold. This was in Norway. I wasn't in a great mood. But I did actually play some good chess there. I came up just short, actually. I think I beat Magnus in a very interesting, I believe it was a Slav variation as well. So it was very exciting. Anyway, this one must be bishop f2. Rook b8 works, but I assume it's bishop f2, king f2, check, king e3, and there's some tactic. I was black. So yeah, basically it's a tactic to make a draw. So now I just go check, and I think it's just check. Oh, it's takes? Wait a second. Okay, I gotta slow it down. I'm going too slow, or I'm going too fast. And this, I guess, is a draw. Let me think for a second. I'm just going too fast here because I go check, and now it's rook d8 check. And if king c4 you take, if king c3 you go check. Wait a second. This is actually not obvious. I think it's check, and I guess you go queen d2 check. And now I think it's c4. If king c, it's got to be c4. And now takes, you go rook check. And now king a3. I think you just check on a8 if I remember this correctly. Because queen a5, there's queen a4, and queen e6, there's king a2. So it's just check, and you make a draw. And you go here. Okay, and it was a draw. And the reason this is important, you guys, is because I was actually completely lost here at this point. Basically, white is just winning. White has 2 rooks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we had a bishop for a rook and a pawn. So yeah, it was not good. So let's keep going. Number 12, Nakamura versus Barron. Or no, Michael Barron, 2009. Now this I remember very well also, you guys. So this was a tournament that was not FIDE rated. It was held in Toronto, Canada. And I remember this well because I played against RDM Samsung, and he was a master from Canada. I lost, I think, in the previous round. And so this last round, there was very little left for me to play for. And so I was just in a bad mood. And my opponent, Michael Barron, he played a Dutch defense. And the reason I remember this well is because I played an early h4, h5 flingy with the pawn on the king's side, because I had seen Mark Esserman, also a streamer by the way, but I had seen Mark Esserman, the famed IM from Bostonia, who had played this early flinging kingside attack with h4, h5 against Steven Zerk in the Foxwoods tournament, I think the same year. So the move, of course, is rook e5, and now it's queen h4 with checkmate. As I said, of course, I don't forget things. Like I said, I played the flingy with h4, h5, and I sacked the rook, and it was a very, very nice win for me in this game. So let's keep going. Number 13 is Hikaru Nakamura versus Josh Friedel. Now, this game has a great story to it. This, I will never forget. This was in 2009, May of 2009. First United States Chess Championship that I won in St. Louis. My second one overall. It is also where I got this, my Ring of Power, you guys. You know, the ring to rule them all. Does it show? It doesn't show. Anyway, yeah, so that's where I got this ring when I won the United States Chess Championship in 2009. It was held in May. Now, this game I remember very well because my second, Chris Littlejohn, he had basically, this was our first tournament working together, and he basically drove from Dallas, Texas to St. Louis, Missouri with his PC, his desktop. He basically pulled it all apart, he took the tower and he put it in his car and drove to St. Louis because at the time, the remote access, all these things weren't working in the same way. And tournament went very well, but going into this final round, actually, Bobby Hess, Robert Hess, of course, he was actually tied for the lead with me. So we were tied for first place, same number of points. I had to play against Josh Friedel, who traditionally gave me a lot of trouble, and Robert had to play against, I believe it was Yuri Shulman, if I'm not mistaken, in this final round game. I'm not sure. But we were tied, so I felt that I really needed to win this game, and so the night before I asked Chris, just look for something, anything in e4, e5, look for something that's complicated, unclear, and Chris actually came up with his bishop d3 in the attempt at the fried liver with knight g5, ed5, and bishop d3. And this line has gone to become very, very prominent now. It's something that is played very frequently at the top levels. We've seen a lot of theory, but the idea that Chris came up with, he took it, I think, from a random Alexander Morozevich game. I don't know who he played. Was it Shulman or was it Var? Because I thought it was Shulman, but maybe he beat Shulman in the second to last round. He drew against Jacobian. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, so this game was very complicated, but again, here I played bishop to c1, trapping the queen on f4 and winning, just to show you guys the opening. I tried to go for the fried liver. Josh played knight a5, and Chris found this bishop d3 idea out of a random Alexander Morozevich game, and of course it's become very popular ever since then. You see it played very frequently. A lot of theory has been created. Now, this was in 2009, nearly 11 years later, this line is still played. So it was a very special game, very special moment. Certainly when I look back at my U.S. championships, it was a very special moment. St. Louis had just started holding tournaments, and winning the U.S. championship, it really started the springboard to 2700. As you see, I was 2701. That really got my that really started my transition from like trying to be professional to being a serious professional, because my ratings started going above 2700. All right, so let's keep going. The next one, we have number 14, Hikaru Nakamura versus Magnus Carlsen from the BN Bank Blitz in Oslo, Norway. Now, this again, you can find a video of this on YouTube. I'll show the short video of the game that I won, the previous game, which preceded this game, which I won in a crazy king and pawn endgame, and Magnus stormed off. But this event was very fun. It was played in a casino, not casino, sorry. It was played in a shopping mall in Oslo. And to give you guys the backdrop, this was a 4-game match. I think we had drawn the first 2 games, and I won the 3rd game, which I'll show you the video of very shortly. And so Magnus was very upset. This was a must-win, and it was a Grunfeld. I played this classic rook b1 line, knight f3, e4, knight c3 takes, knight f3, rook b1. I gambited a pawn on c3, and I got a great position. So the move, of course, is rook f8, and it wins. Now to show you guys why, it was, of course, rook b1, and I played this very special d5 line. And I'll give you guys more background on this. So this line I remember very well because at the 2008 Olympiad in November, I was playing on the American team, and the other players on the team were Alexander Onishuk, Varuzhin Jacobian, myself, Gata Kamsky, and I'm forgetting someone. There's a 5th player that I'm forgetting. Who's the 5th player? I don't know. I'm not bragging, you guys. I'm just giving you guys all the background story. I'm not bragging. How am I bragging? I'm just giving you a background story. Chill out. Relax. I don't remember the 5th player, but this idea, this d5 line, was something that actually Alexander Onishuk, Varuzhin Jacobian, and I, we actually looked at this quite a bit, because I believe Alex played it or he wanted to play this in a game against Morozevich. I played it in a game against Shakira Mamedyarov, a game that I unfortunately lost. Or actually, no, sorry, it was no, Alex won with it, sorry, against Elyanov when we played against Ukraine. So this line was something that we had looked at in November of 2008. And so when I talk about Olympiads, I've spoken to a lot of people, not people, sorry, I've spoken on stream. I've said how like I really enjoyed my early Olympiads more than the recent ones, and this was one of the reasons that I really did enjoy it, was that there was a lot of camaraderie, there was a lot of teamwork. We would study openings together. There was just the spirit that that we had, because it was just sort of we were a team. And to be honest and to be frank, most of the recent Olympiads, it's felt very much like there's an individual spirit, where it's like, you know, because Wesley, myself, and Fabiano are so competitive with each other, we don't really study in that same kind of way. So so to me, I remember this very fondly. Some of these early moments were really special. Studying with Var and Alex, working on these lines, you know, or 2012 when we played in Istanbul. I remember Gada was feeling very unsure before his game against Grishuk. He wanted to play the Aliekin's defense. And so I actually, because Gada wasn't feeling great about the game, I went over to his room, and, you know, we just looked at a little bit of stuff, you know, before the game, and that really helped Gada. Of course, he got a great position in that game. He went on to win that game. He beat Alexander Grishuk. I beat Vladimir Kramnik, and of course, we defeated the big bad evil Soviets, or the Russians as we call them now. So I have a lot of these Olympiad stories, and that's why, you know, the early Olympiads to me are very, very special, because having those moments, those experiences with Gada, you know, with Var, with Alex, it's just, you know, those are memories that I will always remember. And so I will always have very, very fond memories of the early Olympiads. All right, you guys, so we went through the Magnus one. Actually, no, do you guys want to see it? You want to see it? Okay, so Magnus grabs the queen. He goes for the Kobian move. You know, it's like a power move. The cam is blocking me. Hey, it happens. It's all good. XQC filmed with Texas Instrument Calculator. Right, totally. Okay, so you're gonna see, like, there's gonna be a very unhappy moment here for Magnus in a second. There's gonna be a very unhappy moment. You'll see this. Thank you to Eric Chesscon for the 33 gifted subs. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. Also, we're playing in a mall, by the way. That's why you see the escalator going up and down. So we're playing in a mall, and this is like this sign. I think there was also a train station nearby, so somebody can tell me where it was. But yeah, here we go. We go into the end game. This is right where we were on the other video. Okay, he goes there. I think I go king f6, king e6. Yeah. Okay, don't worry, you guys. You're gonna see more fun happen. But now Magnus plays knight b5. Now Magnus nowadays would never allow this sort of endgame that occurs here, because after I move the king, we go into this king and pawn endgame, but he blunders here, as you'll see in a second. And you can win or lose. That's the reason it was a mistake. Okay, let's watch this endgame. Magnus was winning here, by the way, if he played f4, g4, but he moved the king and he loses by 1 tempo because b1 is check. There you go. Let's watch it again. Let's do the rewind. It's my birthday. Let's do the rewind. Let's do the rewind. Now, the funny thing is, you guys, Magnus still does this, actually. That's what's funny. Magnus still does this, by the way. He still does this. He still does this. And now he resigns. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I just thought I would play that. So there you guys go. But yeah, that's what I would say is that yeah, he blundered. He was winning that if he played the pawn order differently, but he didn't play it right, so that's why I won the game. But hey, yeah, but he still did that when he lost to somebody. Who did he lose to in the World Blitz and Rapid? He still did that. He did that, and he said "Fein" very loudly. But anyway, all right. So let's get back to the article.